Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Murphy here, and tonight I am going to be ranking the 2003 WWE pay-per-views from the ones I enjoyed the least to the ones I enjoyed the most. So, without further ado, let's get started. In last place, as you guys can see, I have Insurrection. Now, of course, this was a house show pay-per-view, and this was held in Newcastle, England. So, yeah. And about these house show type pay-per-views, they're never really that good, and this pay-per-view is no different. So let me go over the match here. Match listing. Opener, we had Rico versus Goldust. Yikes. Not a good way to start your show. Then we get for the women's title, Jazz versus Trish Stratus. That was good. Six-man tag team match, the Dudleys versus Rodney Mack, Christopher Nowinski, and Theodore Long. Yikes, times two. And then Scott Steiner versus Test. You know, I can't really say many bad things about their matches because I actually enjoyed them. I thought the feud was entertaining. So, yeah, and I'm also a big fan of Scott Steiner and Test, so, yeah. Then for the tag team titles, we had Rob Van Dam and Kane versus La Resistance. I mean, I never really cared for La Resistance, so I didn't care for the match. Then for the IC title, we get Christian versus Booker T. Another men match. I never really thought Christian and Booker T worked that well together. That was pretty boring, their matches. Then in the main event, we had a street fight for the world title. Triple H versus Kevin Nash. Now, I don't remember this match too well, but given Triple H and Kevin Nash's other matches, it was probably very mediocre and not that great. I never thought their matches were that good. And you know, speaking of which, we have Bad Blood with Kevin Nash and Triple H on the front cover. And of course, this includes their Hell in a Cell match, which I will get to in a minute. So, for the opener, we had the Dudley Boys versus Rodney Mack and Christopher Nowinski. Not great. Bad opener. Then, once again, we get Scott Steiner versus Test. You know, it was fine. I enjoyed it. And again, we get Christian versus Booker T for the IC title. Again, meh match. And then, again, we get Rob Van Dam and Kane versus La Resistance for the tag team titles. Another meh match between them. And then for something new, we got Goldberg versus Chris Jericho. Now, I'm not the biggest Goldberg fan at all. I just can't stand the guy. But he had a great match with Jericho, which, you know, Jericho pretty much carried him to a good match. I mean, let's be honest here. But yeah, I really enjoyed this match. Very impressed. And then we got Shawn Michaels versus Ric Flair. Now, you would expect this match to be, you know, as good as a WrestleMania 24 match, but it just wasn't. Yeah, it was fine, but, you know, it just wasn't up to par with their later stuff. Oh gosh, and then we get the Redneck Triathlon between Stone Cold Steve Austin and Eric Bischoff. This went on forever. Gosh, I was so bored watching this. This just took up way too much screen time, and yeah, it was just ridiculous. Then the main event, like I said earlier, we had Triple H versus Kevin Nash in Hell in a Cell for the world title, with Mick Foley as special guest referee. And this match was boring. Oh my gosh, did it drag on. Yeah, like I said, they just didn't really have that much of a chemistry between each other, which, you know, they should have, but, you know, they just didn't. So yeah, I just did not care for the match whatsoever, or this pay-per-view. This pay-per-view was bad. Basically, Insurrection Part 2. And up next, which, you know, this might shock some people, but it is Survivor Series. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just not a big fan of this pay-per-view. And I will explain my reasonings once I go over these matches here. So, starting off, we have the Bachelor Brothers versus Eddie and Chavo. Fine opener. No problem there, really. Then we get Tajiri versus Jamie Noble. That was good as well. Then we get Molly Holly versus Lita for the women's title. That was good. Now, here's where my issues start. We had the SmackDown Survivor Series match. Team Angle versus Team Lesnar. And this match went by really quick, and it had quick eliminations as well, which I hate in a Survivor Series match. I want these type of matches to go as long as possible and, build up that drama. This match did not have a lot of it. And, look at Team Lesnar's team. I mean, my gosh. You had Nathan Jones, Matt Morgan, A-Train. Ugh. Then on Team Angle, you had Bradshaw, Hooker Holly. So, yeah. Not that great of a Survivor Series match there. Now, the Raw one was pretty good, but, things didn't really heat up until the very end. Until it came down to Shawn Michaels and Randy Orton. The rest of it, I just really didn't really care for. But yeah, this was Stone Cold's team versus Bischoff's team. So, yeah, both Survivor Series matches I just didn't like that much. But this was match of the night. Shane McMahon versus Kane in the Amos match. Very entertaining. Good match. Really good match. I enjoyed it. What I did not enjoy was this Buried Alive match between Undertaker versus Mr. McMahon. This was just... Yeah, the ending to this match really brought it down for me. I mean, it was fine beforehand, but, Kane coming out and costing Undertaker the match, yeah, it was just dumb. Yeah, this feud between Undertaker and Mr. McMahon just wasn't necessary. So, yeah. And then you had a real stinker of a main event between Goldberg and Triple H for the world title. Yeah, I love Triple H, but even he couldn't carry Goldberg to a good match. I mean, yeah, their styles just didn't mesh that well. So, yeah, honestly, you had 4 good matches. Just good, and the rest was just disappointing or just not that great. So, yeah, I just found this pay-per-view overrated. And the best thing about it is this theme song, which was Build a Bridge by Limp Bizkit. So, yeah. And here's another pay-per-view that had a good theme song, which was Bring Me to Life by Evanescence. And this is No Way Out. Yeah, I feel this pay-per-view gets pretty forgotten about. And, just looking at the card, you can see why. So, starting off, we had actually a good match between Chris Jericho and Jeff Harvey. Good match, like I said. Then we get, for the tag team titles, William Regal and Lance Storm versus Van Dam and Kane. Another good match. And then for the Cruiserweight title, Billy Kidman versus Matt Hardy v. One. Another good match. Then we get a 6-man tag match. Actually, I think it was 2-on-1 because I think Brock Lesnar got taken out. Something happened. I think Chris Benoit. I don't know. But it turned into a handicap match. So yeah. But this was fine. It kind of dragged a little bit, but it was good. Undertaker vs. Big Show. I didn't really care for it. Oh yes. Scott Steiner versus Triple H for the world title. Oh man, so bad. Yeah, their matches sucked ass. Not great. And then we got Stone Cold Steve Austin versus Eric Bischoff. A complete waste of time. I mean, it was just terrible. Then the main event, we got an unnecessary rematch between The Rock and Hulk Hogan. And, I didn't really care for the match because it just wasn't needed. They had that classic at WrestleMania 18, so why would you even bother to replicate it? I don't know. So yeah, No Way Out, just a very bland pay-per-view. Next up, Unforgiven. Alright. So starting out, we had Lita and Trish Stratus versus Molly Holly and Gail Kim. Pretty good. And then Scott Steiner versus Test. If Test wins, he gets Stacy and Steiner's services. If Steiner wins, he gets Stacy back. I believe this match had that infamous Scott Steiner botch where he slipped off the ring apron. Hilarious. But yeah, I did enjoy the match a little bit. So we had a 6-man table match. The Dudley Boys versus La Resistance and Rob Conway. It was alright. JR and The King versus Coach and Al Snow. Horrible. This was so bad. Good gosh. Then we got a triple threat match for the IC title. Jericho versus Christian versus Rob Van Dam. And you know, this match it could have been better. It was fine, but I just expected a lot more from these three. I don't know, something was just not clicking. Then we go to a really good match between Shawn Michaels and Randy Orton. These two always put on good matches, and I think a lot of people forgot about this match in particular. This is great. Really good match. If you have not seen this match from Unforgiven, definitely go out of your way to watch it. It is really good. Then we get a last man standing match between Shane McMahon and Kane. Good as well. Really good. Then we go to the main event. And then once again, we had Triple H versus Goldberg for the world title. You know, like I said earlier about their match at Survivor Series, it just wasn't that great. So, yeah. And up next, we have Backlash with Goldberg once again featured on here as he took on The Rock. And I'll get to the match in a second. So starting off, for the opener, we had Rey Mysterio vs. Big Show. And, you know, this match was actually pretty good. And the post-match stuff was, yeah, it was brutal. But yeah, good opener. Then we had Rikishi versus Sean O'Haire with Roddy Piper. Not that great. But you know, I do feel bad for Sean O'Haire because he really could have been something special. But yeah, him being paired with Roddy Piper, yeah, just wasn't a good fit. And I love Piper, by the way, but yeah, those two just didn't mesh that well. Then we got for the women's title, Trish Stratus versus Jazz. Really good. Those two women always put on good matches. Then we had Rob Van Dam and Kane versus the Dudley Boys for the tag team titles. That was good. For the other tag team titles on SmackDown, we had Team Angle versus Los Guerreros. You already know it was great. So, then we had a 6-man tag match. Kevin Nash, Shawn Michaels, and Booker T versus Triple H, Jericho, and Flair. An okay match. Yeah, Raw during this time period was not that great. So, yeah, then we got Brock Lesnar versus a young John Cena for the WWE title. Yeah, it's pretty weird seeing this match in 2003, given the matches they would have in the 2010s. But yeah, this match was okay. I mean, John Cena wasn't at that level yet, but you know, he was getting there. And then in the main event, like I mentioned, we had The Rock versus Goldberg. And yeah, the most entertaining thing about this match was The Rock. I mean, like I said, I just did not care about Goldberg. So yeah. Then we move on to Vengeance with a really cool cover. I love this cover. It also had a good theme song too. Price to Play by Stained. Yeah. Really good song. So yeah, let's start with the opener. We have an Indecent Proposal match. Billy Gunn with Tori versus Jamie Noble with Nydia. Not that great, if I'm being honest. Yeah. That whole feud was, kind of weird. Then we had an EPA Invitational, and that was pretty entertaining. I enjoyed that. Then we had for the tag team titles, the World's Greatest Tag Team versus Billy Kim and Rey Mysterio. This match ruled. I love this match. Very fast paced and a lot of action. So yeah, definitely go out of your way to watch that match if you haven't. Then we got Stephanie McMahon versus Sable. Terrible. Do not watch this match at all. And you know, this match in particular, I think, brings this pay-per-view down for me because, you know, the rest of the card is pretty solid, all except for that match. But yeah, this match really brought the show down for me. Then we had in the finals for the U.S. title, Chris Benoit versus Eddie Guerrero, and you know that was great, of course. Nothing else to say there. We had Undertaker versus John Cena. This was a very slow match. I didn't really enjoy it. You know, I thought it would have been better given who was involved, but you know, it was just okay. Then we had Zach Gallen versus Mr. McMahon. Ugh. The whole Zach Gallen stuff. I mean, come on. Yeah, I don't know. And then the main event, we had a triple threat match for the WWE title. Brock Lesnar versus Big Show versus Kurt Angle. Now, this match is kind of weird for me because I used to love this match. Then when I rewatched it, I didn't like it as much. So, yeah, I don't know. But you know, it is a fine match. It's just, I used to like it way more beforehand. So, yeah. And next up, we have another SmackDown pay-per-view in No Mercy. Another cool cover. So, opening match, we had the APA versus the Basham Brothers. Not that great. We had Zach Gallen versus Matt Hardy, V1 with Shayna Moore. A better match than his match with Vince. So, yeah, I will give it that. We had Chris Benoit versus A-Train. It was alright. Rey Mysterio versus Tajiri for the Cruiserweight title. A very good match. I love both those guys. Eddie Guerrero versus Big Show for the U.S. title. Pretty good. Pretty good. Oh my gosh. First ever father-daughter I Quit match. Stephanie McMahon versus Mr. McMahon. Again, this is a match that really brought the pay-per-view down for me. This was terrible. So bad. You know, very odd. I don't know why Vince would book himself against his own daughter. Yeah, Vince is a very weird person as is. Then we got Kurt Angle versus John Cena. Pretty good. They've had better matches. Then the main event, the first ever biker chain match for the WWE Championship. Undertaker versus Brock Lesnar. Very good. I enjoyed this match a lot. This was really good. So yeah, that was No Mercy. A pretty pay-per-view. Or no, it was solid. It was solid. Next up, Armageddon. Now this show, a lot of people despise because Evolution held all the titles at the very end, but I actually like this pay-per-view. I'm one of the few who actually do like it. So yeah, let's go over the card here. We had a tag team turmoil for the tag team titles, and there's all the teams right there. They're just too many to name. But yeah, this was pretty good. Pretty good opener. Now this match I love because this had really good storytelling. It was the Battle of the Sexes. Trish and Lita versus Jericho and Christian. Yeah, I just really like the storyline between all these people. So yeah, good match. Really enjoyed it. Then we had Booker T versus Mark Henry. A pretty bad match. Do not watch that match. It's not that good. And then we had another really, really good match. We had Rob Van Dam versus Randy Orton for the IC title. Super good. Definitely every way to watch that match, and also this match too. And then we had Shawn Michaels versus Batista. Yeah, not that good. Batista was pretty green at this time, around this time period. And then the main event, we had a triple threat match for the world title. Kane versus Goldberg versus Triple H. Okay. I mean, it was alright. Nothing to brag about, really. Next up, Summerslam with a naked Sable. Alright, so we had Zach Gallen versus Matt Hardy once again. Pretty good. We had a fatal 4-way match for the U.S. title. Eddie Guerrero versus Chris Benoit versus Rhino versus Tajiri. A lot of fun, very fast paced. I enjoyed it. Then we got La Resistance versus the Dudley Boys for the tag team titles. It was alright. Then we got Shane McMahon versus Eric Bischoff. Not necessary at all to have on this pay-per-view. A complete waste of time. We had Undertaker versus A-Train. Not good. We got Rob Van Dam versus Kane. I believe this was a squash match. I think this took place after Kane unmasked. Yeah, I think this did. So yeah, Kane went over big time here. So yeah, it really wasn't that great of a match. Then we got for the WWE title, Kurt Angle versus Brock Lesnar, which was great. They always put on good matches. And then in the main event, we had a controversial type match here. It was an Elimination Chamber match for the world title. Triple H versus Randy Orton versus Jericho versus Goldberg, Shawn Michaels, and Kevin Nash. Okay, so like I said, I'm not a big Goldberg fan whatsoever, but I will admit that he should have won this match because it was the right opportunity to put the title on him. But Triple H did retain, so yeah, not the smartest move from creative at all. But the match itself was really good, though. I will give it that. A very, very good Elimination Chamber match. Alright, now here is the top 3. In third place is Judgment Day. Now this is an underrated pay-per-view. And I don't get why a lot of people hate it. I really don't. But yeah, let's go over the card here. So first up, we had a pretty interesting match here. We had a 6-man tag. Chris Benoit, Rhino, and Spanky, aka Brian Kendrick, versus FBI and John Cena. This went by super fast. A very short match. But yeah, it was just interesting seeing John Cena teaming with the FBI. I was like, what? Then we move on to Scott Steiner and Test with Stacy versus La Resistance. Pretty good. It was alright. Then we get a really good match. I love this match. It was a ladder match for the WWE Tag Team titles. Team Angle versus Eddie Guerrero and Tajiri. Super good. Very, very good match. I love this match. It is a shame when it comes to ladder matches, no one ever talks about this match. And they should, because it's really good. Then we got a Battle Royal for the IC title. Not that great. I think Christian won, I believe. So yeah. We had a bikini challenge between Tori Wilson and Sable. That sucked. And then speaking of sucking, we had Mr. America versus Roddy Piper with Sean O'Haire. Terrible. Just bad. And another bad match we get for the world title. Triple H versus Kevin Nash. Yeah, not that great. fatal four-way match for the women's title. Trish Stratus versus Jacqueline versus Victoria versus Jazz. Very good match. I think it was on the short side, but it was still good. And in the main event, we had Brock Lesnar versus Big Show in a stretcher match. And I really enjoyed this. This was a lot of fun. I think in the end, Brock Lesnar leaped off a forklift. I think it was a pretty crazy spot. Yeah, very enjoyable match. I loved it. So yeah, this pay-per-view is a mixed bag. A lot of terrible stuff, but a lot of good stuff too. So yeah, I do enjoy it though. It is a pretty easy watch of a pay-per-view. And then in second place, I have the Royal Rumble. With a good theme song too. I think it was Falling Apart by Trust Company. Yeah, I think that was the song. So yeah, let's go over the match card. Opening match, we had Brock Lesnar versus Big Show, and the winner advances to the Royal Rumble match. Very good, very good. It's interesting because Brock Lesnar and Big Show always work well together, I thought. So yeah, I liked it. Then we got for the tag team titles, Lance Storm and William Regal versus the Dudley Boys. Pretty good, pretty good. And we get a first ever stepdaughter versus stepmother match. Victoria Wilson versus Dawn Marie. Yeah, not good. This storyline was so weird. Yeah. The less said about their matches, the better. Then we get for the world title, oh gosh, Triple H versus Scott Steiner. This was so bad. Yeah, I refuse to rewatch this match ever. This is just pure torture right here. To just sit through this whole match and just watch. There were so many belly-to-belly suplexes by Steiner. It was ridiculous. But then we move on to a fantastic match between Kurt Angle and Chris Benoit for the WWE title. This made up for that trash that was Triple H and Scott Steiner. Yeah, these two killed it. They said, you know what? We are going to make the fans forget about that match between Triple H and Scott Steiner, and we are going to put on a 5-star classic. And they did. Incredible match. And then we had the Royal Rumble match itself. And this was a very good, very well booked. I enjoyed it thoroughly. And yeah, Brock Lesnar won the Rumble. And then in first place, no shocker here, Wrestlemania 19. Now, I've talked about this show a lot on this channel, so I won't really have too many things to say about it. But I will still go over the card anyways. So, opening match, Matt Hardy versus Rey Mysterio. That was great. Undertaker, Nathan Jones. Well, not really, but yeah. They took on Big Show and A-Train. Not that great. Victoria versus Trish versus Jazz. Really good. Triple threat tag team title match. Charlie Haas and Shelton Benjamin versus the Guerreros versus Chris Benoit and Rhino. That was good. Shawn Michaels versus Chris Jericho. Like I've said before, on my videos where I've covered this Wrestlemania, I've never really enjoyed this match. I don't know what it is. I just don't like it. I mean, it's fine. It's just, I don't know. Something about it just doesn't click with me. Then we get for the world title, Triple H versus Booker T. Yeah, the wrong man went over that night. Booker T should have won, but but I will say the match itself was good. So yeah. Then we get Hulk Hogan versus Mr. McMahon. I loved it. I always love that match. Stone Cold versus The Rock. It was very good. Love that match. Then the main event, Kurt Angle versus Brock Lesnar. And of course, this had that infamous shooting star press spot that turned out very wrong. And yeah, this match was great, and that spot is one of the all-time best moments in WrestleMania history for all the wrong reasons. So yeah, one of the best shows ever. So good. And yeah, that will do it for this pay-per-view ranking of 2003. So yeah, I never really noticed how much of a mixed bag this year was. A lot of good pay-per-views and a lot of bad pay-per-views. But yeah, that does it for this video. As always, I hope you guys enjoyed, and let me know in the comments what your guys' rankings are for this year in pay-per-views. And also, I only have one other year left that I will do a ranking video on, and that is 2001. So yeah, be on the lookout for that, and get that subscriber count up to 100, because I do have a special video plan to release once I hit that number. And yeah, with all that being said, this has been the ASMR Fanatic signing